In this video, my client Nick Zoris tells his story of how he went from 0 followers to making over $10,000 per month doing online baseball training. When we first started working together, he was working a 9 to 5 sales job, pretty much hated his life, but knew he could be doing more. And we got to work, kind of taught him the ropes, taught him the system, and he's really taken to it. And so I asked him to lead one of my group calls in my program. And he gave a great presentation, kind of breaking down the entire thing, the biggest mindset shifts he made, the biggest things he changed in his content, how he grew a following, and how he was able to actually sell to that following. So if you're a baseball coach and you want to learn how you can make $10,000 a month, then you can go ahead, book in a call with me with the link down below. Jump on the call. We can get started right away if you're the right fit, if you're good for the community. We got a little bit over 40 guys right now, and they're all absolute killers. So if you want to be a part of that community, go ahead and book in a call. But without further ado, you're going to want to stick around for this video because Nick's going to show you pretty much behind the curtain of how he was actually able to do it. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and I'll catch you in it. Peace.
First of all, for you guys that don't know me, my name is Nick Zoris. I am a catching coach. My Instagram is @ProPointCatching. So if you guys give me a follow on there, send me a message, and obviously we can connect that way. So just a little bit of background. So I've known Nick here for about, over a year now. And started working with Nick like long before, his coaching program came about. So I've gotten the chance to learn from Nick for a long time now. About a year ago, Nick looked me in the eyes and he said, dude, you're going to be making, 6 figures coaching before you know it. And at that point in my life, I was like, dude, that's fucking crazy. Like if somebody pays me $100 on the internet, like I'll be happy. So fast forward, a year, and this past January, I hit my first $10,000 revenue month, which is pretty fucking cool. Like that was all organically. Like I hadn't run any ads yet. It was just all from, the audience that I had built, and, obviously like putting together an amazing program and getting my guys results and being able to market those results. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through like, the different processes in my journey so far and all that. And kind of like what I'm looking ahead to. So obviously 0 followers to 10,000 a month and set to explode. I threw the set to explode in there because just this past week, last Saturday, I put my ads. Those are live now. And for those of you guys that are like considering running ads, like scared to put a little money behind some ads, they fucking work. I wish like somebody had like shooken me and said like, yo, run ads, because they do fucking work. The reason that I'm set to explode is because obviously last month was my biggest month yet. But I'm on track to have my biggest week yet. I'm looking to close like 6 guys this month for this week, which will be about $3,000 in cash collected. And obviously do the math on that. You do $3,000 a week for a month, that's like $12,000. So we'll see what happens. But without further ado, we'll kind of get into it. Okay, so what we're going to cover, obviously some context about who I am. We're going to talk about the concept of burning the boats. So this is obviously like cliche, and you probably heard like David Goggins say this a million times, but it's so true. Obviously like not giving yourself a plan B is going to be super valuable in your journey. The ability to get specific on everything, who you serve, what you're good at, what your goals are. After that, we're going to go into building out a banger program. Something that I like to say is like the lifeblood of your business is your ability to deliver your clients' results. It's the reason that Nick's program has exploded so much. The reason that all of you guys are on this call right now, because Nick delivers results, and I hold the same value in my program. Obviously, once you have a banger program, you need to be able to sell it. So creating a banger offer that people feel stupid saying no to. After that is the concept of being able to sell before you're ready. So a lot of times, like we get caught in this perfectionist mindset where like everything has to be perfect before we're comfortable selling something. So just applying pressure to yourself and being able to sell before you're ready. Obviously client success, I'm going to go into more detail on that. The ability to show results and how to kind of frame your Instagram around that. And then more on a personal level, just being somebody that's worth following, being somebody that's worth paying money to, being somebody that's worth learning from. And then more in like the day to day, being able to do the things every day that are going to make you successful. And then grand scheme of things, just the mindset that it's going to take to kind of get there. Okay. So my background, like I said, my name is Nick Zoris. I grew up north of the suburbs of Chicago. I live in Arizona now. I'm a former Division I catcher. I played baseball at Illinois State. So my last year of baseball was 2019. Led my team to a conference championship at Illinois State. So we got some pretty dope rings from that. And then got to play in a regional at the University of Louisville. Louisville knocked us out in the championship game on their field. And that's when my career came to an end. What I kind of tell everybody is like, if I was a better hitter, I'd probably still be playing baseball right now. But unfortunately, I couldn't hit for shit. But, you know, looking back on it, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it really focused. I had to really focus on the defensive aspect of my game, and it kind of led to where I'm at now. So I wrote in there the concept of manifestation. And, you know, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, like manifestation seemed like, you know, hippie bullshit. Like it was like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, you're going to think about something and it's going to come real. And it wasn't until like I actually started seeing things come to life that I understood what manifestation was. So something I wanted to kind of dive into was, you know, after my playing career ended, like a lot of you guys, I tried my crack at working a 9-to-5 job. You know, I worked in insurance, I worked in sales, I tried a bunch of different things. And at the end of the day, like I was ultimately pretty unfulfilled with the impact I was having and I guess the life I was leading. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this too. Like there's been a lot of long nights of, you know, you in a notepad kind of writing down like, you know, what do I want my life to be about? What do I want to, you know, leave as a legacy? And in my mind, that is what manifestation is. It's getting clear on what you want to do and like setting an objective and then taking the steps to get there. Like manifestation does not come without the actual work. I'll share a quick story too. So when I was back in Chicago, I was working a 9-to-5. This was during COVID. You know, it was me and my notebook, probably 2 a.m. And I had written down the concept of pro point catching and everything that I wanted it to be. You know, I wanted it to be a hub for the best catching information on the internet. I wanted to help kids get recruited. You know, I got very specific on the amount of money that I wanted to make within my business. You know, I got very clear on what I wanted my outcome to be with no idea of how I was going to get there. Like I said, I was living at home. I was in Chicago. You know, none of this stuff was even close to coming true. But I had written it down. I got very clear. And, you know, through a lot of thinking and a lot of like just random sparks of information, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have gotten at some point in your life. I had this, you know, grand idea to move to Arizona and, you know, chase this crazy dream that I wrote on paper during COVID. So I packed up my car, moved out to Arizona, you know, found like the cheapest sublease and got out here and started, you know, obviously putting in the legwork of getting in the baseball world out here. And I think this is where the idea of manifestation comes into play, because until you get clear on your goal, on your outcome, the doors that it takes to get there will not open for you. So I got clear on my goal. I moved to Arizona, and then through some stroke of luck, I meet this guy named Nick Neville, and I walk into this backyard, and you know, Nick's this fucking jack dude. He's like super cool, speaks well, like he's like running this business out of a backyard. He's like, yeah, we're doing like 20 grand a month. I'm like, holy fuck, like this is like everything that I wanted. It's right in front of me, right? So you know, Nick being the amazing guy that he is, he's like, dude, like you're a good catcher, like you hold yourself well, like why don't you try and make this work? Like you tell me what you want to do. So I fucking went for it, dude. Like I started like posting on Instagram, started taking on clients, all that. So, you know, this was probably 14, 15 months ago. I'd say I really got serious on pro point catching the business about a year ago. So last January. And then, you know, over the past year, I've tried a million different things. Like I've tried to be a jack of all trades, just in terms of like, for those of you that are familiar with being a catcher, I tried to coach receiving, I tried to coach blocking, I tried to coach mindset, I tried to coach throwing, right? And like, I would have some months where I'd make, 3-4 grand, and like I felt good, could pay my expenses, whatever. And then, I'd have some months where it was like, fuck, I signed one client this month at $250. Like, how am I going to pay my fucking rent? So there was a lot of, trials and tribulations over that year. And I guess, one of the biggest things that I learned in the world of remote coaching is, I look back on this last year and all the mistakes that I made, all the times that I like bumped my head up against the wall, or like, was scared that like, didn't know where my next client was going to come from. Like, there was somebody right in front of me. I was living in the same house as this guy who had all the answers, but my ego and my stubbornness was preventing me from like putting that aside and being like, yo, Nick, like, please fucking help me. Like, every day he'd walk into my room like, what are you working on? Do you want some help? I'm like, nah, I got this. And, eventually you can only fall on your face so many times before you're willing to accept help. So I guess like the point there is learn from me, and like, like Nick always says, like, run the plays because they fucking work. So that's why I said, like, figuring it out on your own versus paying somebody who already figured it out. All of you guys that are in this call already took the first step of like investing in yourself and being okay with learning from somebody who's smarter than you on this. Like, doesn't mean that they're better than you, or like a better man than you, or a better woman than you. It's just they've learned and already done what you want to do. So you guys have already taken the first step on that. So kind of to backtrack a little bit, so like over this last year, like I said, I bumped my head into the wall a lot in terms of like what I'm going to offer on the internet, like how I'm going to coach these guys. And something that Nick always told me from day one is like, you need to get specific. And, at the end of the day, if you can get specific on who it is that you help, what you're really good at, and how you're going to serve your clients, you are going to save yourself a lot of headache. Okay. So before we even get into getting specific on what you want, I want to talk a little bit about the concept of burning the boats. And like I said, you guys have probably heard David Goggins talk about this, and it sounds like a lot of like hoorah bullshit, but there's a lot of value in this. Something about me is like, I've always been somewhat of a risk taker, and I'm assuming all of you guys are the same way, or else you wouldn't have shelled out the money to get in this program. You took a risk and invested in yourself. So something that I did right away, and obviously this is a calculated risk, right? Like, I knew that between the money I was making coaching in person and, the trickles of money I was making on the internet, I had enough to pay my expenses and, eat ramen for the month. So as soon as I felt comfortable, like, being able to meet my basic expenses, I fucking put in my 2 weeks at my job. The thought of staying in that job any longer and showing up to the office in a fucking polo and some slacks was way more scary than, quitting my job and going all in on myself. There's something to be said too for, having your back up against the wall. I think a lot of times when guys get into this program, like, one of the reasons why they're scared to like take action and put these steps into play is because, they're probably making decent money, like coaching at a facility, maybe they're still working their 9 to 5, and at the end of the day, they're comfortable. But there's no growth in your comfort zone. Like I said, I think there's some value in having your back up against the wall. And I'll share a story about an experience that Nick and I had. So for those of you guys that don't know, Nick and I are roommates right now. And this was in September of this month, or I'm sorry, September of last year. I came into the kitchen one day and I was like, Nick, dude, like, I signed one fucking client. Like, I made $250. I don't know how the fuck, like, I'm like looking at my savings account. I'm like, I can only live like for, however many more months. Like, I was freaking the fuck out. But when I look back at it, like, my back was against the wall. Like, I was like, Nick can attest this too, but like, dude, I was in tears. Like, I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, my back was truly against the wall. And like, when your back is against the wall, that's when you're kind of forced to fight. And that's when the opportunity was presented to me. And Nick was like, dude, you've always talked about like this drop your pop time challenge. Like, why don't you fucking do that? And, I had all these preconditioned thoughts. Like, what if it doesn't work? Like, what if I can't pay my rent in a few months? Like, what if I can't fucking eat? And it's like, at that point, I had no choice but to make it work. So that's why I'm so big on like, burn the boats, don't leave a plan B. And something that Nick taught me too was like, do you want to limit yourself because you're scared that it's not going to work? Or do you want to put in the work and have the faith that it's going to work out? And, to kind of paint a rosy picture, like that was September of last year. In October of that year, I dropped my program, signed like 10 guys in, made like $2,500. It's just fucking crazy. I was feeling good again. And then you fast forward to January of this year and I hit $10,000 and I feel like I'm just getting started. But that kind of speaks to the value in having your back up against the wall, burning the boats, get out of your comfort zone, and like being able to build momentum once you're kind of on that track. Okay. So kind of going off of that. So like I had mentioned earlier, I was trying to be a jack of all trades. I was trying to coach receiving, blocking, throwing, mindset, all this stuff. But what I was failing to recognize was all the kids that were in my DMs, all the kids that were signing up for my remote training program were coming to me for one reason. They wanted my throwing information. Like I was a plus thrower from behind the plate. I can still throw pretty hard and like this worked. Like I had specific knowledge on the throw and everybody was coming to me for throwing information. And I was like, the opportunity was right in front of me and I was failing to see it. So, one of the things that I want to encourage you guys to do is like, pay attention to the kids that you've worked with. Like maybe you're a hitting coach. Like, what do you excel in? What kind of results do you get your kids? Like maybe you're really good at, teaching a certain part of the swing that a lot of kids want, right? Whatever that specific is what you need to focus your marketing on. If you're a pitching coach and you're really good at, getting guys to make huge jumps in their velo, that's what your marketing needs to be about. Stop trying to be like the all-encompassing pitching coach. You're going to get lost in the sea of pitching coaches. Another thing too, like if you haven't yet identified what you're really good at, or if you maybe have an idea, you can always ask your audience. Like there's obviously different ways to do this, but the most simple way is like on your Instagram story every week, put up a poll or put up a way for people to answer questions. Like, hey, what kind of content do you want to see? Like, what kind of a program would you find value in? Like, ask your audience what they want and then fulfill it. Like you might have all these ideas of what you can provide, but until you know what your audience wants, you have no really purpose in putting it out there. Something else too is like, as much as I hate to say it, and fundamentals are everything. Like you guys are all ex-athletes, you know how important the fundamentals are. But at the end of the day, like remember who you're dealing with. You're dealing with, high school or early college level guys, or like, pro guys that are trying to get their shot at the MLB. Like they don't really care about what it takes to get there. They want to know what the outcome is. And for me to kind of put this into perspective, like my program is called the Drop Your Pop Time Challenge. For all of you guys that are in the baseball world, like, pop time is a crock of bullshit, right? Like you look at the MLB average pop times for 2023, not a whole lot of guys break a 1.9, right? But at the end of the day, like pop time is a measure of efficiency of mechanics, right? I could talk about efficiency of mechanics all day and bore you guys to death, or I could choose to market my ability to drop guys pop time. That's what's sexy. That's what guys want, right? And until they know what they're going to get, they're not going to be willing to do the work that it takes to get there. So yeah, that's one thing like has really been a huge shift over my business in the last few months is like market the outcome, highlight your clients, like get the outcome. Let people that come across your Instagram page identify with the clients you're working with. Like little Johnny from Iowa just popped a fucking 185. Like I'm just like little Johnny from Iowa. Maybe I can do the same thing, right? And then you get them on the phone, tell them how you're going to get there, and then boom, sale. So like I said, market the outcome, let your audience identify with your clients, and this will print you money. Like it's just the fact. Ask yourself, like, if you're a kid and you stumble on your page, the first thing that they're going to ask is, will this guy's program work for me? Me. They're thinking about themselves. Stop thinking about you. Stop thinking about what you can provide, and think about what outcome you can get your client. Okay. So obviously, marketing aside, something that I say all the time is the success of your business is going to be dependent on your program. Like at the end of the day, like the better your program is, the better results you have, the more that you enjoy showing up to your coaching calls, the better results you get your guys, all of that. Like that's going to reduce friction in everything else that you do. When you know that your program is getting results, when you know that guys enjoy working with you, when you know that your onboarding process is flawless, when everything's perfect, it's going to reduce a lot of friction that you might face in being able to sell it. So, like I said, like being able to like put your all into a program. Like I know that you guys that have gone through Nick's program have seen like how much fucking time this guy's put into his program. Like everything is laid out. You know exactly what you have to do to get, the outcome that you want to achieve. So put time into your program. And I know a lot of guys will often ask questions like, how do I build a program? Like, what should I include? Like what I don't even know how to do it. Like, should I do it on Trainerize, whatever? All of that stuff is secondary. Like you will figure out how to put things on Trainerize. You'll figure out how to upload things to YouTube. You'll figure out how to make a cohesive program. But what you first need to figure out is, what are the processes that you use to coach your guys in person? If you're a hitting coach and a guy comes to you, what's the process that you use in order to break down their swing in lesson number 1? What are you looking for? What are you telling them? What are the measurables that you're maybe getting, right? All of those things is going to be your onboarding process, right? So like that's getting eyes on a guy for the first time and recognizing their deficiencies. That's your onboarding process. Okay. Once you've recognized a guy's deficiencies, what is the process that you walk them through in order to get them to an outcome, right? So for me, just to kind of put it in perspective, like when I'm working with a guy that wants to become a better thrower, the first day that I work with that kid, all I'm doing is I'm watching him, getting video. We're going to break down his video. We're going to see everything that's wrong with his throw, right? So that's exactly how I built my online program. And then outside of that, like, you guys are all great coaches for a reason. There's a certain way that you speak to your clients. There's a certain way that you structure your drills. There's a certain way that you show up to lessons that has allowed you to be a really good coach. There's a certain way that you present yourself that allows guys to return and want to work with you. Just because a program is online doesn't mean that, you can't have your unique twist on it. Like my program is very unconventional in the way that like, I always hated when I look at an online program and it was just like a video with no audio and some guy like, doing some random drill that I had no context around. So the way that I structured mine is going into each week, I have learning modules where all I'm doing is I'm in front of the camera and I'm explaining like, hey, this week we're going to be focused on your lower half. Here's the reasons this is the most important part of your throw. Here's how it's going to lead to success with the back half of your throw. So I'm explaining all these concepts in detail so that kids have a mind frame of how they're going to attack their training. Once they do their study at the beginning of the week, they then apply what they learned in their study to their drill progression. The drill progression videos follow the same, format, where like when I recorded these, I'm out there like actually doing the drills. I've got a mic, so I'm mic'd up. I'm talking through what I'm feeling, why it's important, how it translates, what the kid should be feeling. So like make your program as interactive as possible. Like when a kid watches video, he should feel like he's in a lesson with you. Like that's how we get over the hump of, I want to work with an in-person coach. Or, my dad says I need to find somebody that's local. Like, well, what if you had something to study and you could spend time with me every single day? So frame your instructional material in that way. Other than that, like I said, put yourself through the program, like find the flaws, make it easy to follow, make it step by step, you know, always imagine that these kids that you're working with, like assume that they're stupid, like make everything so simple to follow that the only possible outcome is them getting results. Once you can kind of put all those things into play, the results are kind of inevitable. Like I said, I touched on the learning resources. Obviously, you know, those are huge. Like teach. Don't assume that kids know things. You know, you have a lot more experience than the kids you're working with. So tell them, you know, firsthand experience, tell them what, you know, different cues or things that worked for you and include that in your training program. And then the last thing with that is setting expectations and standards. So, you know, when you work with these kids, like you need to get very clear on like, hey, here are your daily obligations. On Sunday nights, you're in charge of studying the modules. The nights before you have training, you're in charge of, you know, watching the drill videos, getting really comfortable on what you're going to be doing the next day. If you have any questions, you need to reach out to me before you start to train, right? Set expectations. Like, don't assume that anything is going to be like common knowledge. Like, make it so simple for these kids and then set standards, you know? In my program, kids are in charge of recording themselves once a week so that we have it for their coaching calls. They're in charge of retesting their pop time once a week, so we can measure their results, right? You need to make these things non-negotiable so that there's no wiggle room in your program. The more like freedom of choice and freedom of thought that you have in your program, the more kids are going to deviate from the plan. So setting expectations, setting standards, and being very strict on those. If a kid doesn't meet them, they have to go back and repeat that week. Okay. So obviously that's the program. And then once the program is built and you feel confident in the program, you need to find a way to sell it, right? And, you know, this is probably one of the most valuable things that I learned, was the ability to create a banger offer, right? Like I said, fundamentals are boring. You know, people don't really care about the action steps that it's going to take to get there. They want to know what they're going to get out of your program. So for me, I want to put this in perspective. My offer is this. I will help you drop your pop time by 0.1 or more in 4 weeks. And if for some reason you don't achieve that result, I will continue to work with you until you get there. And I'll tell you guys this right now. Of all the kids that have come through my program, done their drills, watched their modules, showed up to their coaching calls ready to learn, recorded themselves, and actually taken the time and energy and pride into this program, of all the kids that have done that, not a single kid has had to go longer than the 4 weeks. But the idea behind, you know, structuring your offer in that way is for, if you want people to feel comfortable giving you money on the internet, there has to be some kind of guarantee, right? You have to guarantee an outcome, and that's where setting expectations comes into play. Like, I'm gonna give you this outcome, but you got to pull your weight. You got to put in the work, right? As long as you put in the work, I will do whatever it takes to get you to your goal. And chances are, like, when kids put in the work, they're gonna fucking reach the goal. Like, it's not gonna be any extra sweat off your back. So creating a banger offer is exactly that. Like, what is the outcome of your program, right? Nobody wants like a fucking 6-week lifting program, right? Like, what is a 6-week lifting program going to do? But if it's a 6-week, like, fucking, you know, increase your slugging percentage program, like, cool. Now I have a tangible result that's going to entice me to buy this program. So structuring your offer in that way, it's always result first and then fill in the rest. And then with that, like I said, I guarantee my result. At the end of the day, I know if the kids put in the work and they do the shit they're supposed to do, they're going to get the outcome. But at the end of the day, like when I'm on the phone with parents or kids, having that guarantee, like, hey, I'm going to work with you until you get there, makes people comfortable with you. It makes them want to give you their money, because, you know, it kind of proves that you're not just some scammer who's going to take their money and run. And then outside of that, it's just being able to center your marketing around that. I know Nick talks a little bit about, like, I don't really ever get the objection like, oh, I thought this was free. Like, I've created my marketing around my offer so well that after I, have these conversations with the kids in the DM, after I send them the VSL, it's pretty much curtains. They're like, okay, how much money do I owe you? So being able to get clear on your offer and then infuse that into your marketing will get you over that objection. They're like, oh shit, I didn't know this cost money, right? Being able to show results is worth money. And then something else too is like, when you're marketing yourself on the internet, a lot of us come from this preconditioned thought of what social media is, right? We're running these personal pages where our goals are different. Maybe your goal on your social media page for yourself is like, oh, when I'm in this city, I want, these girls to know I'm there and hit me up, whatever. I want to get this many likes on my pictures. You need to get out of that mindset and center your marketing as, what you want your business to show, right? It's not about you. It's not about how good of a baseball player you are, right? At the end of the day, like, this holds some weight and you can toot your horn a little bit to build credibility, but your marketing should not be about you. It should be about the clients that you're getting results for. At the end of the day, like I said, when a kid comes on your page, they want to know if this is going to work for me. If your page is flooded with kids that look just like them, right? They're at the same point in their career as them, and these kids are getting results, they're gonna fucking send you a message and ask how they get involved, right? And then outside of that, obviously we want to provide value. So, building credibility within yourself. Talk about the throw, talk about the swing, talk about throwing a baseball, whatever, to build credibility with yourself as a coach, especially when you're starting out. The more value you can give to build a following, the better. But in terms of the pillars of your marketing, you need to provide value. And then equally, if not more important, you need to show client results. And then you need to ask for the business. Ask for the business, ask for the business, ask for the business. There's not a limit on how many times you can ask. Like Nick says, Nick, every single day on his story, is showing results. And then he's asking you to book a call. Show results, ask to book a call. So that's how you need to structure your marketing. It's value, client results, ask for the business. And that's it. Okay. So something that I've kind of noticed too from being in this community is, and it's something that I struggle with too, is the concept of selling before you're ready. So something that I think I found myself falling into a lot is I had this, preconditioned thought of perfectionism. I can't sell this program until it's perfect. I can't, faithfully or I guess morally take somebody's money until I know the program is fucking done and perfect, right? At the end of the day, there is no perfect program. Like, the program's never going to be perfect. There's still tweaks that I want to make to my program, even though it's getting crazy results, right? What Nick has told me and what I've learned for myself is the idea of perfectionism is either you're scared to fail, so you try to make everything perfect, or it's just a limiting belief. Like, something is holding you back. So be able to sell your program before it's 100% fucking perfect. Kind of going back to the concept that I talked about before, the idea of burning the boats. If you can get yourself to sell your program before you're ready, you're going to apply some pressure to yourself, right? I just took fucking $500 from a kid in Iowa, and I told him I'm going to give him the best program of his life. I'm going to wake up the next day and do everything it takes to make the best fucking program for this kid. And I'm assuming you guys all have that same moral compass to where if you take somebody's money, you're going to give them the best fucking product that you can. So applying that little bit of pressure to yourself, like, we're all athletes here, right? Like, some of your best games are, when the guy in the mound's a fucking stud, team's relying on you and you come up with a clutch hit. Some of your worst games are when you're comfortable and you're facing fucking slapdick lefty from Middle Eastern Tennessee State Tech, right? Like, there's no pressure on you. So at the end of the day, apply some pressure on yourself to get it done. And be okay with the fact that it's never going to be perfect. Like I said, my program is not perfect yet. It drives me to continue making tweaks and continue trying to get perfection, but I know it's never going to get there. What I do know is the amount of time and effort that I put into my program is great enough to get incredible results. And because of that, I'm okay selling it. And at the end of the day, the faster you sell, the faster you're going to be able to get results. The faster you get results, the faster you can market those results. And then obviously the faster you market those results, faster you make sales, faster you gain confidence, and then the momentum builds. But that all starts with obviously selling the program before you're ready and putting that pressure on yourself. Okay. This is probably the most important slide in the deck. Client success, right? So said it probably 4 times already, but the lifeblood of your business is the success of your clients. Successful clients equals conviction in selling and less friction, right? Like I said earlier, the more successful clients you have come through your program, the more energized you're going to wake up in the morning to keep repeating, right? The less friction you're going to feel talking to, some parents asking them to pay you money because your program works. But that all stems from the amount of time that you put into making sure your clients are successful. Something that I do, and I would recommend that you guys all implement, and I know Nick does this as well. But at the start of my day, when I sit down on my computer, one of the first blocks on my calendar is my client success block. About an hour every single day. I go through every single list of active guys in my program, and I send them a text. Hey, dude, how's your first week going? Is everything making sense? Like, is there anything you want me to check out for you? Whatever. Hey, I checked your pop time this week. Like, you went down this much. That's fucking awesome. Staying in contact and making sure that these guys are seeing success goes a long, long way. Because at the end of the day, like, no matter what your program entails, you are going to see success from your clients when they actually fucking like you and they want to follow your program. You can put whatever you want in there. If they like you, they'll follow it. So taking time to block off part of your day as a client success block, check in with every single guy, see where they're at, see what they need from you. And then outside of that, obviously we want to track our metrics. So for me, this is easy. Like, tracking pop times every single week is pretty simple to do. So whatever your offer is, if you're going to help guys make velo jump, track their metrics, see where they're at every single week. And the better you can track everything, the more you can advertise it. So now, like, every single week of all the guys that go in my program, I have at least, 3 to 5 guys that hit a PR on their pop time. And now I have marketing material, but that all comes from the client success block, staying on top of that shit. And like I said, post about your guys. So think about it like this. Like, we talked about shifting our frame from running a personal Instagram to running a business Instagram. These kids that you're working with are running personal Instagrams, right? At the end of the day, whether they admit it or not, they want clout. They want their homies to think they're cool. They want to get recruited, whatever. So the more that you can post about your guys and like fucking tag them so they can repost it on their stories. I have a string of guys on the East Coast. They're in New Jersey. I posted about one guy's client success. That led to another guy, like one of his buddies that works out of the same facility. He's my client. That led to like 3 more guys, and that all led to like 2 more guys, right? So like, advertise success, post about your guys, like shout them out. Like, yo, little Timmy just hit like two jacks in his first spring game, whatever, right? He's going to repost that to his story. All of his buddies are going to see, oh, Jimmy's working with this guy's getting him results, right? And then outside of that, kind of going with the client success block is when you show up to your coaching calls, like, there's really not a need to have like a set plan of like what you're going to go over or like what you want to teach these kids. And, this is something that I fell into before. Like, I would spend like an hour like prepping for a coaching call. And I remember Nick like came into my room one day and he's like, dude, why do you need to do that? Like, you don't even know if they want that. And it's fucking true. Like, you need to show up to these coaching calls with confidence in your ability to coach and then ask them what they need from you. And a lot of times what you'll notice is like, the program is so damn good that they don't really need anything. They just need you to like say what's up and like congratulate them on their PR. That's really it. And that's going to save you a lot of time and like effort. So ask what they want when you show up to coaching calls. Okay. Be someone worth following and learning from. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about like the mindset that it takes to be successful coaching on the internet. But at the end of the day, like, you need to blur the line between coaching in person and coaching online. Like, it's not really a difference. Because at the end of the day, like, people that are going to pay you money on the internet are the same people that would pay you money in person. They're just not in your I guess, general proximity. So something that I like to do, and like a thought exercise that I put myself through, is think about your favorite coach over the course of your career. Why did you like them? What did they do to bring the best out of you? Chances are they weren't like flooding you with, you know, fundamentals or like crazy fucking drills. At the end of the day, like having somebody in your corner that's rooting for you and giving you the resources to succeed is going to bring the best out of your clients. So like I said, like think about your favorite coach. It could have been like a summer ball coach that you had, or like, maybe a minor league short season coach that you had, or somebody that, stood out to you. Why did you like them, and why did they bring the most out of you? And implement that into your program. Be that guy for your athletes. And then outside of that too, like business aside, on the journey of being an entrepreneur, you're going to reach a lot of mental hurdles. So having the ability to work on your mindset, like setting aside time to do things for yourself, like whether that's going for a walk in the morning to clear your head, reading books, making sure you get in the gym consistently, cleaning up your diet, whatever. Like all of these things that you do for yourself are going to translate to your business. So, don't get so caught up in just working on business that you would neglect yourself. You have to be somebody that's worth following and worth learning from. So yeah, like I said, work on your mindset, work on yourself. And then outside of that, have your daily non-negotiables. At the end of the day, like your ability to get in front of the camera and try to portray a concept or try to get people to work with you is going to come from the confidence. Like confidence is attractive, but confidence comes from working on your mindset and working on yourself. So you need to kind of break down like your daily non-negotiables, right? Like getting in the gym, studying, learning, making sure your clients are successful so that you can build confidence within yourself and then be able to portray that through a screen. And then kind of breaking that down even further, something that Nick and I talk a lot about is when guys get started in this program or they're trying to make the shift from coaching in person to coaching on the internet. It's this big scary monster in the closet and they don't know how to face it, right? You can either choose to focus on the big scary outcome, or you can focus on the things that you can do in this very moment and this very day that are going to push the needle forward. So like I wrote, what can I do to push the needle forward today? What's most important? For most of you guys that are just starting out, you still have in-person lessons, you still have a 9-to-5 job, you still have all these things that are going to require some of your time. So you need to get specific on what is going to move you forward the fastest and what's going to be the most important for your business right now. What I've found is the fastest way to get out of your job that you don't like, whether that's coaching in person or working a 9-to-5, is making sales. Okay, how do we make sales? I need to start conversations. So I need to prioritize the DMs that I'm sending every day, right? How do I find more people to send DMs to? I need to make better content. I need to run ads, right? These are top of priority. DMs, content, conversations, right? These are all going to be the most important things that it's going to take to get you out of the position that you don't want to be in. And then again, to kind of, nail it home, taking care of your mind is going to give you the confidence to do these things. Take care of your body, right? If you feel like shit, you've been eating like shit, you haven't gone to the gym, chances are you're not going to want to get in front of the camera and tell people to listen to you, right? But if you take care of yourself and study and continue to learn, you're going to have a lot easier time getting in front of the camera and telling people to fucking listen to you. And then outside of that too, invest in relationships. Take care of the people around you, because at the end of the day, the people around you are going to take care of you, and that's going to throw, that's going to throw fuel on your fire. So like I said, get yourself out of the business and think about your life as a whole. And these things will all kind of complement, each other. Okay. To kind of wrap this thing up, I know the general theme of a lot of these calls is, outside of the tactics of running the business, the mindset is going to be the most important thing that you deal with. Something that I've learned over, the last year and a half is you have to be prepared to slay dragons. And what that is, basically your dragons or your demons are the things or the stories that you tell yourself as to, why I can't be successful. Maybe you tell yourself, oh, I can never make 10K or a month, or, I can never be a voice worth listening to on the internet. You have to be prepared to face these things head on and, really think deep about why you believe these things about yourself. And the faster you can get over these hurdles, the faster you're going to be able to progress within your business. Also with that is being able to recognize your emotions and the emotions that serve you and the ones that don't, and being able to build resilience past those things. As you're on this journey of building your business and, obviously like trying to get things off the ground or scale or whatever you're trying to do, there's going to be a lot of emotions. You're going to wake up in the morning with these preconditioned thoughts about your life and where you should be. And you need to have the ability to recognize like which emotions, which thoughts are serving you, and be able to get past those and build resilience, and getting past those. Building a 5 to 10 year plan and breaking down the action steps. So one of the biggest things that I've seen, prevent guys from taking action is they're not sure where they're going to go. But you need to actually take some time to sit down with yourself and think about, okay, 5 years from now, what do I want my life to look like? 10 years from now, what do I want my life to look like? What is the amount of impact that I want to have on my clients? What's the amount of impact that I want to have on the world? What's the legacy that I want to leave behind? What do I want to do for the game of baseball or tennis or whatever, you're trying to serve, right? Once you can get clear on the outcome, it makes the day-to-day a lot more manageable because you know what you're working towards. But until you get clear on where you want to go, it's really hard to face those things. And then the last thing I'll say too is having faith over logic is huge. Like to kind of bring it full circle, like that day that I was sitting in the kitchen with Nick, I wasn't sure how this was all going to work out, or, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, but deep down inside of me, I had faith that it was going to work. I didn't know what steps it was going to take. I didn't know how I was going to get there. And logically, if I would have thought it all through, I probably would have talked myself out of it. But just putting weight in your faith to get it done, and just having the faith that, these sparks of inspiration will come to you every day. You'll get content ideas, new clients will come out of the woodwork. You'll start to get the recognition that you want, but that all comes with the work that you put in. So putting weight in your faith and your plan, and, not putting a whole lot of weight in the logic, because at the end of the day, your mindset is a preconditioned set of thoughts and beliefs that you have about yourself. If you try to think logically, you're probably going to talk yourself out of it. So just having faith in that outcome and having faith in your ability to get there and get things happen.
I hope you all enjoyed that video. Nick is a dear friend of mine and is absolutely crushing it. Can't wait to see what he does. If you want to learn how you can do the same, if you want my help directly, you want to be a part of this community, and you want to learn how you can make $10,000 a month coaching baseball online, then go ahead, book in a call with me down below. We can jump through everything on the phone, see if you're the right fit. If you need more information about my program, go ahead, check out the main video pinned to my channel. Send me a message on Instagram. Check out my Instagram, check out my story highlights, look at my client results, and scroll until your thumbs get sore. Go sell yourself. But when you're ready, go ahead, book in that call. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a ton of value out of it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.